how to weave a pentagon patch with a Pintagon, a pentagonal pin loom. Which could be reached at pentagonloom@gmail.com. Here is the pin loom made of sheet metal. It has a extension locking feature which allows you to collapse the loom during the weave, and we'll just start weaving this. Take about, was that 44 centimeters, about 18 inches of yarn as a leader. Kind of pinch it in there. And then to start to warp the loom, we come around the top. It's probably upside down to you now. Come around this top left corner, come down to the left pin on the middle of the side, then we come up, next pin, down to the next silver pin, and you can see that there's the silver row of silver pins, a black, a silver, two black, a silver, and the rest are black. Same thing on this side, except there's only two left. So black, silver, two black, silver, two black. And the silver are the warping pins, and this is some number 4 worsted weight acrylic yarn. Now you can get pre-make a piece 14 foot 6 inches, 442 centimeters, or warp the loom and then wrap it 8 times. That will give you the piece you need to finish the weave. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we unwrap the loom. And starting with the leader thread, get the sewing weaving needle, pinch over the needle and stuff that piece through the eye. An easy way to thread it. So the first thing we do is we come down and we pick up come underneath and through that first loop around the middle side pin. Do the same thing with this next lower side pin, and then we start a weave across the bottom row here, coming under, over, under, we'll always be trying to weave a standard weave. We're coming over the top. We need to have this thread on the outside, which I have a hard time weaving through there, so I just weave it across the top of the pins and then I pull it over. snug that up. Then we come back again. We just came over the top, so now we come under. Which will be in a plain weave pattern. Go down and under that and out. Pull through. And now we need to pull this thread through, but we need to leave a loop at the bottom for now that we'll use on the other this other string. Okay, now we got to thread up this side. About a foot from the end, I guess, saves me a little time. Okay, now we do the same thing on this side we did on the other side. We start under that first pin, or the middle pin, I guess, on the right side, and then the lower pin. So now we need to come through this loop we left and then put that over this next thread and under, and then that maintains that plain weave pattern, and we just work that across. Up and over. Take that lower string and pull it a little tighter. I find a standard kitchen fork makes a great beater, thread beater. Okay, now we're through. We'll be coming around each of these pins one at a time. We'll be coming out on the tops, so we always come underneath then, because we're wrapping around the string and also around the pin, and then we just work our way across in a plain weave. So went around the lowest left side pin, and now we're coming around the lower part of the right side pin. And under, over. And up. This one is a little trickier to do, but we got to get under that outside, go over, under. to get under that, better, easier to come along the side and then under. So under, over, under, over, under, over. Over. The first pin loom I'd ever worked with was the 4-inch turtle loom that weaves hexagons. And I thought it was brilliant the way they figured out how to make a single string woven piece that didn't unravel. But then I got a set of hexagons, and I liked Buckminster Fuller. I liked geodesic domes and soccer balls that have a series of hexagons and pentagons, but there was no Pentagon loom that I could buy. So I ended up designing and making this one. And so the reason these sides are the length they are is because that's what they are on the 4-inch hexagon loom. So, so these pieces we're making can be sewn together with other pentagons, hexagons, squares that are, you might have to make your own square loom at 2 1/8 to 2 1/4 inches. It's about a 4.5 centimeter length side. So I suppose if you were watching the video you could speed up but if you're in the process of actually weaving a pentagon of your own, I guess it takes about this long to do it. About a half hour is what it takes to do a pentagon. That's a little tricky there. Not bad though. That might be the hardest part right there, is to get through that little maze of so he starts under, then he comes over. a little thinner thread is easier to see, but it also makes it a little lacier and not quite as structural of a shape when you're sewing them to other pieces for whatever kind of a thing you might want to make. If it's a ball or a hood of a cape, or maybe because the Pentagon allows you to do three-dimensional weaving, and you could put together geometric objects. 12 of them will make a dodecahedron. Do is 2, deca is 10, so it makes 12. Hedron is sides. So dodecahedron is a little ball, a platonic solid. That might make a nice little desk pillow. Getting near the top. I think if a lot of people got into weaving these, it would be interesting to see all the different designs that people would come up with. And later I might do a video on some of the different objects that I've made with the different geometric pieces. I had to figure out how to make an equilateral triangle so that it could be sewn together as a building kind of block, which I might show at a different time how I did that. Different video. So we're at the top of this row. Now what I need to do is come under and over. This thread will have to be wrapped up and over the top of all these pins. First we'll just weave that across here. And now we've got to take the crochet hook and grab that yarn and pull it up over those pins. And don't want to have too much slack. There. Now I release the locks and collapse the loom a little bit and snug this up, which gives me a tension relief, and it gives me space because as you could see, as I was getting towards the top, it was getting pretty tight. And on other looms that I made, it got so tight I could barely even weave it. So okay, this is one tricky part. I guess I have to come around this outside loop, but I have to go over 2 threads in order to get back to the plain weave. That won't show up later. You'll see when that's the only time I intentionally go over 2. I've accidentally gone over more than one and have to recover. Okay, since the spacing of these pins is different than these because this leans more on this angle, that when you come around, we'll come around this loop and then we'll come above this pin here, so around this pin and around above this pin, and there won't be enough space to come around here. I'll have to come back around the outside and then back down. I'll show you what I mean. This comes over, comes under here, over there. Struggling with that one a little bit. There we go. So it'd be too far of a space if I went around here. So I'm going to come around the outside string and then go back into that weave, plain weave pattern. So on this side I will go around the outside pin. Over here. Under this. Same thing again. Come around the outside thread, back into the plain weave. It's almost tight enough to go to the next layer above it, but it's kind of good to have a little bit denser pattern in this area that's so sloped. Okay, come around. In this case I can come around a little further. Then when you're sewing these together with other pieces, as long as you can grab that top string where everything's locked, then it'll be very strong. And when I stuff a piece like a ball, I just get some standard. Let's see there, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go above it. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'll go below still. Yeah. Just use a standard polyfill spun polyester pillow stuffing. You could throw your piece in the laundry with no problem. Can't watch how I am in the camera while I'm weaving, so hopefully I don't make it hard to see. Getting close to the top, got to come in under here, and then I want to go out as close to that corner as I can. And the same thing with this thread, it's not quite in the corner. So tuck that in. There you go. And now we just need to kind of, even up the tension, even up the strings. That might be not quite perpendicular, where it's a little stuffed a little heavier. You can kind of bring that down just a little bit, make it more even. And there is the Pentagon piece from the Pintagon loom. So there it is, ready to sew onto. Let's see if you use that some of that funny corrugate, this kind of yarn. it'll automatically make a little plaid piece. But you take your pieces face to face, use a tapestry needle, and you could sew this edge and it becomes connected. And you can make shapes like this dodecahedron ball, or if you took out a row of 4 and then collapse this down, you'd have a square hole on each end, which then you could fill up with a little pyramid, 4 triangles, and then end up with a little, like a Nerf football, or a throwing lemon, however you want to. So that's how you weave the Pentagon with the Pintagon loom. Shalom.